Hey guys, welcome to the 16th episode of Secret Dreams. I'm here with Daniel. Welcome, Daniel.
Hey, Dimi. How are you? Really glad to
I'm
be
good.
here.
I'm good. And I'm gonna give you the word after that. You're gonna speak more today. I'm gonna just ask questions, but just before that, to say you guys again, some of you already know I'm a self-leadership coach that helps people to really follow their dreams bravely and to not stop in front of anything in order to get the best life they want for themselves and for their families, or for the close people around them. And that's why one of the reasons to create this podcast was to really speak to other people who I believe are part of this society which follows their dreams, and together to really come up with more ways how we can do that. So inspire you to follow whatever you want to follow in your life. Uh, Daniel is, we know each other with him, maybe, I don't know, less than a year,
Yeah, about a year
10
ago,
months
right?
or something, around a year or something like that. Yeah. I have several perceptions about you, and I just want to share with people about it, and then I'm going to give you the word to talk more about you with details. Um, First
Am
of
I gonna
all,
be Am I gonna be embarrassed, Dimi? Because I don't
no,
know what you're gonna tell
I
about me.
hope you're gonna feel proud of yourself.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So the first thing is, I love this. You're from Spain, which in a way, we can understand why is that. But you have this really amazing way of being, to be reliable, but also to feel a lot of freedom around you. So I love this because there are many people who are reliable, but they are like serious. A lot of very serious people, and people who are funny, but they are not reliable. So you have this amazing balance. That's my perception of you, and definitely, not perception. I was in Barcelona last year. We had a conversation. We had lunch together, and definitely, I think this is who you are from my point of view. The other thing is that you are really focused on bringing value, not only to your customers but also to the people who work for you. There is a big sense of you want to be truly valuable for people. And the third thing which I want to share about you is that you are an embodiment of growth. I mean, it seems to be that this growth comes out of you. Like when I speak to you, it's always about how can we make it grow? How can we go to the next? How can we go to the change which is going to help me grow? I love these things about you, Daniel, and I hope that I'm hitting the right buttons for you when I talk about this. But yeah, I'm giving you the word now to talk a little bit about your story, who you are, what you do,
Okay.
and yeah.
Yeah. Just maybe on the. I mean, thanks for those compliments. I think it's very nice of you, and I like to hear that. At least one person perceives me that way. So it's really nice.
And
Maybe I would slightly disagree on the last one you said. So it's this growth part, because I wouldn't say that I look for growth, understanding growth as you need to do more and more and more, which in a business sense means you need a bigger team or make more money, whatever. I see growth more as a mean to change, which change is a bit more my objective. So changing by new experiences, etc. So to me, growth is not the end. It's just sometimes, depending on your situation, it's a mean to an end. So yeah, maybe you
great.
hear me talk about growth in the business context because growth is one of the ways to achieve change, right? But anyway, so that's why I just, it's not that I actually disagree,
And what
it's
about
more like a
change?
bit of a caveat.
Why do you want to have a change? I mean, tell me about it. I'm curious about that. What is about change that is so exciting about?
Yeah, I guess that's one of the things that probably I like, but I know that it's also bringing me trouble
Okay.
with my with my both professional and personal partners, right? Because I wouldn't say that I get bored quickly of what I do, but I do like this adrenaline of trying something new and just experiencing new things. And I'm saying that's driving some people crazy. For example, my wife. So when I say let's move somewhere else, let's travel, let's experience, let's change lives. He's like, by the way, are we good here? He's like, yeah, I know we're good, but we already have had a taste of this. Like, why don't we go and taste something else, right? So that's what's driving some people around me
Yeah.
crazy. That I'm always, even if the status quo is good, some people would say, why would you like change if you have, a good status quo? Why do you want change? It's like, well, that's because it's known, right? It's a check. And I guess that is something that maybe describes me, of this idea of, I always want to try new things, have new experiences, and if I feel at some point that I'm just flat or steady, then I get frustrated, right? It's like, oh, I'm not actually making the best use of the time of my life, etc. I'm missing opportunities to actually and try new things. Which is, by the way, when you told me, hey, Daniel, do you want to be in this podcast? It's like, I know I've been interviewing a podcast. Sure, what's about? So I think I said yes before knowing what was about, or what do you want to do? Also because I know you, and I knew that it would be interesting discussion.
Absolutely. Tell us about yourself, about your story, and
Okay. I mean, I guess like everybody, their story has different angles, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm going to think more on the professional side, but feel free to ask if I should get a bit more on the personal side, which of course always goes a bit hand in hand. So I'm 42 years old. As you said, I'm from Spain. I was born in a town called Reus, which is about an hour and a half south from Barcelona. Then I became an engineer. I worked a little bit as an engineer, but not a lot. Then quickly, I moved more into the business side and work as a strategy management consulting firm. At the time, also I traveled so I settled myself in France, in Paris, and I was spending a lot of time between Paris and London because of work and traveling across Europe and sometimes overseas for different projects. So it was a time that I enjoyed. People who work in consulting, they get the chance to be exposed to many different things, right? New projects, new clients, so to learn a lot of things on different markets, different experiences. So that I enjoyed. But again, after 3-4 years, I was like, this is check, right? I know, of course, I have a lot to learn, but I'm not sure that I want to become, this senior partner there, especially since I haven't tasted anything else. So I like this, but I don't know if I just like it because it's the only thing that I tasted, or is just because that's what I should be doing. So since I was checking a bit on the market, what other things could I do? And I was like, I don't know. I had interviews with companies. I was like, that's not so exciting. So I got the chance to do a master's in business administration, an MBA, which also gave me a bit more exposure to many things, get to know a lot of people, international people. And after that, I rejoined the company that I worked in, but I did it to open a new office. So this is an American company. They had offices in different places in Europe, but not in Spain. And they offered me the possibility to open the office in Spain. So, that's kind of starting something new, but on something that you already know about. So I started the office in Spain. So grew up a little the team, the business. And again, after 3 years, I was like, okay, check, business consulting check. After 3 years, it's like, okay, starting a new office. It's exciting, like recruiting, finding the right people, start managing your team sort of thing and taking care of them, as well as dealing with the business side. And then I was like, I like this kind of entrepreneurial mindset, but it was a bit cheating, right? Because I did have a steady salary.
Yeah.
I did have a brand that would back me up, methodology, experts, a lot of people in the organization that I could rely on. So it's like, why don't you try a bit more than the pure entrepreneurial part? And then the first thing I tried was, and I failed, was an impact startup. So it was it's a crowdfunding platform for dog shelters. So it was the idea of help supporting adoption of dog shelters. People could donate or contribute on that. So I didn't succeed on that. It looked easier than it actually was. Especially from the dog shelter side, it was a complicated way to engage with them. But that also gave me a new perspective on what it is to start new things with a smaller, without team, kind of bootstrapping. And after that, together with a couple of partners, we launched a corporate venture builder, which basically means you create startups for corporates. So I thought that was a good combination of, I had the experience working with corporates on the consulting side. And then I had the experience from the startup, or I had actually the willingness to be more entrepreneurial. And so that was actually quite interesting. But then within the shareholders, there were some misalignments, let's say that way, when we start growing. So I decided, I didn't want to be there discussing how to split a pie. I was more interested in how to make the pie bigger. So I sold my part and I went to a startup. So I worked in a startup. We were 30 people. So I didn't found it or anything. So I was just one person that was there to support the growth. And but it was interesting because it was a time where in a year time we went from 30 to 100 through 9 million euros capital that we raised. So I could experience that more like startup to scale up transition, which was quite interesting, and what comes with them. I remember the first person we hired was an HR person that we didn't have. And since we didn't needed to hire, I don't know how many engineers and developers, that was quite urgent. And in the meantime, when I was working in this startup, I was continuing doing some projects on the side. And those projects actually became something bigger on the work side. And I couldn't handle both things. And by the way, in that time, it's when I met my business partner. And then at some point we decided, hey, let's leave everything else that we have. Let's concentrate on business innovation. And that's how we co-founded NOBA. So NOBA was co-founded. Actually, today, 8th of March, is the official day.
Really?
That we signed papers. So we actually start working before and doing projects before. But on the 8th of March, we went and signed as co-founders of this company. I think it was 6 years ago. So we started about 7 years ago. But yeah, the 8th of March. So it's
wow,
quite a
love it to the birthday.
Kind of an anniversary. NOBA. The company is called NOBA, so it's a NOBA-versary, exactly. So it was exciting. First year, kind of bootstrapping, just the two of us, freelancers, etc., doing things. Then some initial growth. After 3 years, I think we were already like 10 people, some more steady business, and now we are almost 30 people. We work. All the team is based here in Barcelona, but it's quite international, and all the clients that we have are from Europe and the US. So it's still quite international. And so I guess I get to combine both. And what we do is basically we help big companies design or come up with new opportunities, design new businesses, and then the fun part is what we call the business prototyping, which basically means that those ideas we help them. We help create prototypes or kind of temporary startups that we would put in the market. And if they succeed and they work, exactly like a better version of a business, not just a product, but a business. And then if they work, then we help the company integrate it into the organization or spin it off. So it's kind of a factory of new ideas and new startups for the corporates. And we also have a small investment and incubation unit where we launch our own companies as well. So I guess I keep that variety thing that I like from consulting. You have very few projects. We launch from from coffee machines to a glue gun to a new insurance product for cyclists. So I get to learn a lot about new markets and new environments. But at the same time, with the execution part that I was missing between consulting of excitement of launching things. So I guess it's fulfilling me in that kind of a start and launch something all the time with other people money, which is always nice, but also trying to learn how to best succeed in that process. So that's a bit my way. So I would say from engineer to consultant to entrepreneur, and now kind of more like a company manager, where we combine a bit the entrepreneurial part and the consulting part.
One of the things which comes to mind when I listen to that is how you very beautifully used your experience to grow as a professional. That's what I hear, because you went through the engineer part, you went in the company, you said you were working in kind of startup company environment, whatever, and you used all of these things in order to create the company you have right now. So it's like the path you went through makes sense when I hear it like that, So I used my knowledge and expertise to be here right now with this company I'm working.
Yeah, I would say yes, it's true. I actually probably didn't even realize, right? When I look backwards, I do see that it sort of like makes sense, right? You combine the company work, entrepreneurial part, and of course that's not just me, right? Also my business partner comes from the startup part and the communication part, so that's, we complement each other very well, and now we have a third partner with whom also she brings also different attributes to the mix. But it, maybe if I was American, I would say, that I had a vision, I wanted to get there, and that was the path. But it's not that at all. I would say that in my life, a lot of the things, a lot of my career decisions and probably personal as well, it's been a matter of a coincidence, right? So it's not something that I said, I want to get there, so I'm going to make those 5 steps and I planned for that. Not at all. I got here because, probably I was lucky enough to have some opportunities. I also want to think that I contribute to create new opportunities. And I made decisions in that way, but it's not that I had like a plan. I want to be there in 10 years. It's more that I just, I guess I took those opportunities. I took some risks. Some things didn't work. Some others did. But it's more of a combination of coincidences that I just probably make sense. Of course, if you move in certain area and you accumulate certain expertise, it's more likely you're going to be, I probably could succeed more in what I do now than if I was doing something very different, like being a leadership coach, right? Where I had no experience.
So, Daniel, allow me to reframe what you just said, because we have the conversation here. I'm going to tell you how I see it. I see it that you followed your hunches and your heart in your life, and you came to this place not with the vision you created, but with the feeling that this is the right thing to do in this very moment.
Exactly.
So that's what I'm getting from that. Why I'm saying it, because I see it, and also the one of the things we talk about here in this conversation is, how do you know that you are coming from the heart, from you, from the hunches, or from what society expects of you? Because I think a lot of people go with the second one, right? And it seems to me, at least from the story you shared with me, you are going with the first one most of the time. Talk about it.
Okay. I mean, maybe there's 2 things there, right? One is, yes, I think it's more about, it's good to have like some ideas, some plans, I would like to get there. But first, I don't think long-term plans, probably they're never going to happen. Also, you have too much long-term plans. Maybe you actually miss better plans, right? Because you're so much into, I want to get there, then maybe there's something else that could make you happier, that you will not take the other path. So I feel more that it's about having short-term plans and finding short-term goals. And when you get an opportunity, first see that is an opportunity. If you may be looking so much at the long term, you don't see that I actually have an opportunity here. So see it and then make a decision. Be brave, accept that you may fail. Of course, you need to kind of balance the risks, right, of your failure. So when making those decisions. So what if everything goes wrong? Are you going to really go to misery? Or you're still going to be more or less okay and you can race back? But I think it's more about how you approach the decisions that you make on the day-to-day or in the midterm. Have some short-term goals and midterm goals if you want, but the long-term goals, I don't think, makes a lot of sense. And then you were saying whether that's something that comes from my heart. It was my decision versus what other people expected from me. I don't know. I think I've always been pretty lucky at not having a lot of expectations on me, probably. So I had from the family, from my environment, always, do a bit what you want, whatever makes you happy. Even, on the personal side, I'm 42 years old. We decided with my partner not to have children, which, it's not uncommon, right? But it's maybe not, it's not in the majority, even if not uncommon. So I never felt that, I had a lot of pressure on that. Of course, you always get your parents, you're not going to get grandchilds from you. But, we're both of us, me and my wife, are lucky enough that our brothers and sisters have lots of kids. So the grandmothers and grandfathers are happy anyways. So I don't think I felt that social pressure. I also maybe I'm lucky that I come from a generation where that of course I'm on social media, I'm checking that, but I was not born with that. So I was not in high school on social media. Social media came to me even after university, right? When I was already start working, social media came up. So I think today this social pressure from social media and what I will do, etc., it's way bigger. So, and then if I was mature enough when that social pressure from social media came to me to understand what is reality, what is not. So that didn't create a lot of pressure in me, no.
Yeah. So actually, you were focused. I mean, what I can get from that is that you were, because you didn't have this tension and expectations from your parents and people around you. You were in tune with what you really want, and you are going with it without trying to prove to someone else or to trying to make someone else happy. And see, absolutely agree with you. Social media is a big thing, but speaking to a lot of people, also a lot of people are without social media. They are trying to prove because they believe that they're not good enough or they need to be liked by people and stuff. So definitely, you are a lucky person, so that you have this to being okay to follow your path without trying to prove something. Amazing.
Yeah, no, I don't think. I mean, maybe because I've been lucky enough that I'm in a situation where I don't have to worry too much about the day to day or how I'm gonna pay my rent, etc. So I guess that it's different if you have I guess three siblings and
Yeah.
they all do very good and you're doing very bad, and then that creates some pressure. Or within your social group, everybody does great and you do not, and probably you don't feel the same. I feel like I'm just fitting in anyway. So it's not that I'm on one end or the other. So and I'm happy with that. I'm very happy that other people do better than me in many ways. I'm not happy to see that other people do not in some other ways, but I don't feel that pressure.
No.
So like I don't feel
let's
that I
talk.
need to
Yeah.
prove anything to anyone, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely I see that, and I think that's the lightness which I'm talking about. I feel from you that it's a lightness. It's not like I think suppose you are a leader also. You have employees, and I'm sure that they feel it as well. That there is this freedom of being and to expressing yourself the way is the best for you. I think that's very important. That if the person doesn't have it in him or her, it cannot allow it with other people. And that's why I think several times I told you about. I believe that you're a great leader because this freedom is very important nowadays for people who are working for someone. They need to know that they can be themselves when they work, right? And I suspect that sometimes people who are like you, because this is your normal way of being, right? It's not like you try to be like that, you are like that. And 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 sometimes I've spoken to other people, like who they have this kind of lightness, and they don't understand that it's a big strength to have that.
To
It's
not have the
that is
pressure, you mean?
Yeah, it's a big strength to give the freedom to other people to be themselves, but because it's part of your nature, and sometimes people don't see it as a strength because it's part of your nature. It's like the water around you, like a fish. You have a water, you don't see that thing as something extraordinary, but this is extraordinary ability which is ingrained in you and which makes you really great in what you do. That's what I'm saying, you know.
I think it's a bit linked to the self-confidence as well, right? If when people are not confident, I feel like they sometimes have to prove to themselves and to others that they are capable of something, right? And I think at some point you understand, okay, what you're good at, what you're not good at, and you accept it, right? And that you're in an area that you feel confident, then you don't need to prove it every day, right? Well, actually, you're proving it anyways every day, right? So you don't need to do too much about it, so you can remove that weight from you. So I do see sometimes people not being so confident in some moments for whatever reason it is, right? And then they are you feel like they're trying to justify everything they did or everything they achieved is like,
Exactly.
that's great. I didn't need to know it. But if that's what you need to make yourself feel better, that's fine.
I love that. So I'm going to say, you just said, I mean, this is the $1 million insight, Daniel. I don't know if you get it, but it is the biggest. I mean, I've been working a lot in this area of confidence. That's why I'm saying it. If someone asks me what is the biggest, the thing which is which makes someone very confident is self-acceptance. And when I love how the conversation went from this place to here, because you really articulated how self-acceptance, which is a big part of you, of being who I am, following what I want, I'm okay with that, it leads you to really high self-confidence.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm not undermining that you have certain abilities, skills, and stuff. I'm not talking. You have them, but this one is the biggest.
Also the weaknesses, right? So
yeah.
But yeah, then since you accept that and you just basically practice it every day, then you don't have to be continuously proving to anyone. That will come
exactly. Right? You don't need to prove anything. You're okay with it,
exactly.
Right? I have these strengths, I have these weaknesses, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, but I guess that also comes with time, and I also understand when somebody is new into a new situation, they sometimes feel that need to prove, just to others that they can also do it, and then it's. But it's also again, it's a sign that yes, they want to impress, but it's also sometimes a sign to they lack a bit of that self-confidence, which is normal, right? I mean, you probably need. I was not born this way, right? So I'm sure at some point I was also trying to prove things at some point and trying to start places.
Very early in your life, you learn to not prove things. I love that. It's so great, man. It's so great. People listen. I think when you see the energy of Daniel, you can really understand the embodiment of that confidence and where it's coming from. It's not. I mean, you can become the best in whatever you do, but if you don't have this acceptance, nothing will make you confident. I definitely see that. Just gonna say just this, and then we move on with you. But several years ago, I think it was 7 years ago, I was in this lecture, and I'm seeing this guy who looked, I mean, not like you physically, but the energy was like yours. And I'm asking the person and say, "Man, you're so confident. What is staying behind this confidence? I want to hear. I'm literally want to understand everything from this energy which I'm seeing." And this guy says, "I'm just accepting my weaknesses." That's what was the answer, nothing else. I just accept my weaknesses, not accept myself. I accept my weaknesses.
Yeah.
And I was like, at that point, I was like, "What? Is that everything?" And he was like, "Yeah, that's it." And I'm, wow, man, that's a big one. So we're coming back to that right now with you. So definitely, this is a big thing.
Yeah, and maybe, I don't know, maybe it's first understanding and accepting those weaknesses, but also putting yourself in a situation where those weaknesses do not penalize you too much, right? If you know you're not good at, I don't know, running, then don't try to become a runner, right? I mean, unless it's something that, for some reason you're really passionate about, you're going to struggle, you might succeed, but you're not going to be so confident every day, at least at the beginning, if you're made for that, if that's one of your weaknesses. So I guess it's a combination of accepting, but also finding your place where you can minimize some of those weaknesses and you can play more in your strengths.
Exactly. That's the second thing which is coming. Accept yourself and focus on your strengths, right? So it's very easy said, but a lot of people don't do it.
No, I mean, because it's hard to. I mean, you might have certain strengths that by themselves they're not very useful, right? But maybe in a team with other people that have other strengths, then suddenly they complement each other, and then you manage to do something. You may have certain strengths. I don't know. Maybe that's just to make a stereotype, right? But you may be good at selling, but if then somebody's not producing or doing, then that strength is not very useful. Maybe you're not good at executing, right? So you have to do everything. Then you're not going to be very confident when it comes to the second part. You're just going to be confident on the selling. And even potentially, if you don't execute well, then you're going to lose confidence in your selling. And that's going to create a vicious circle in which you lose the confidence even in the selling. But if you manage to say, I'm good at this, and I place myself in an environment, in a team, in a context in which I can shine on those strengths, because I have other people that shine in their strengths, then we can all shine together. I think it does create a virtuous circle.
I love it. It's so right what you're saying, man. It's so right. And one of the biggest things is when a person like you sees that a lot of, I'm sure that you're designing also your team in that way. You want to see someone who has this strength, this strength, this strength, so we can combine them and create something good from them. If you have 30 people if you have 20 people who are salespeople, I don't think it's going to work, right? You want people who are sales, who are engineers, who that, so we can create something sustainable. Definitely. Let's talk about fear. We can speak a lot about this topic, but let's talk about fear a little bit. Tell me, fear, yeah.
Okay.
Tell me, in these years, you are following your dreams for sure. We see that, but do you meet fear often, or have you met fear often in these years? And how do you deal with fear if you meet it?
Okay. Fear, I'm not sure if fear is the word, right? Not fear like scared or something. At least I've been lucky enough to see that. Doubt for sure.
Cool.
And there's a bit of and of course, when you doubt, it's because you're afraid of something, right? That something might go wrong. So it's a bit of a link in that. No, one of the things that I guess I can say fear a little bit is this idea of not making the most out of my time, my life, or whatever, right? That's one of my fears, which maybe links to what we were discussing at the beginning. This idea of changing and tasting new things, right? I do fear of saying, for example, a year has passed, and it's not that I regret, but I feel like I didn't get as much of that year as I could have. That's something that it does frustrate me. So I guess my fear is more when I look. So if I look back and I feel that I didn't get as much of that year, I'm gonna be like, gosh, damn it. So I guess my fear is when I look forward, saying, okay, am I gonna get the most out of the next year, right? And then if I see that I may not, then that's something that I do fear. So, but at the same time,
what do you do that?
Well, on the one hand, it can create anxiety, but on the other hand, it's also a bit of it kicks you, right? It's like, hey, okay, it wakes you up. Okay, you say you want to get a lot out of this year. So what are you gonna do? How are you gonna make this year different? If you do the same thing that you did last year, the likelihood that that's going to be similar to last year, it's quite high. So what are you going to do to make this year different, better, or more exciting every time, right? So that's a little bit, I guess, how I look at it. I don't look at it so much as a regret. So I don't look too much behind saying, oh, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. That's water that's gone down the bridge, right? But it's more like, okay, how am I going to make sure that this year I'm going to do things? And then something that I do is I just put some milestones there, right? So it might be a week somewhere, holidays with some friends. It might be also professionally, if I feel like, I was struggling with something, what am I going to do differently this year to make that change? So it's more like making sure that you're always continuously trying things. They may not actually get the best result, but at least you tried things that are going to make that year different, more exciting, and removing a bit that fear. Because again, my biggest fear, I think it is that kind of a steadiness of not getting new things coming into my life.
But use it as a kickstart. You don't. That's what I hear is you're using it as kind of the ground for what you're gonna do from now. It's not like I'm afraid I'm not gonna do anything, but just okay, what can I do now?
Exactly.
Let's create something new. Let's work with that, right? So use it as an information, even you could say it's an information for you, which you can use in order to create something more
Yeah,
for
it's more like
others.
a bit like a little needle that is always there, just kind of pushing you to 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 move.
Love it. So
And I guess but it's also kind of a double-edged sword, right? Because it can also create anxiety, right? Oh, I need to do something, and so I guess one of my challenges and something that sometimes I struggle with is this balance between being all the time, okay, what's going to be the next new exciting thing, and also being in the present moment and enjoying it, right? So if I stay too much on the present, then I don't have anything that I see is going to be exciting and new in the short, medium term. Then I get frustrated. If I look too much on the short, medium, or even longer term, then I'm not enjoying the present. So that's a little bit my, some of that challenge. And now I probably can phrase it that way because I took a decision about a year ago to just try out with a coach. I never had a
wow,
coach. I don't know if I told you that, Demi, but yeah,
I think you
you
told me
know,
something. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. I was always a bit skeptical, to be honest, about these kind of personal coach and professional coach, because I don't know. In my mind, I didn't see much difference between a coach, a C, and I always had this impression that sometimes people were going to other people to solve their problems instead of just because it's true. I mean, thinking and solving problems, and it's a lot of hard personal work. And I felt like some people that were saying, I'm going to here and there, they were sort of delegating the work to somebody else instead of doing the work themselves. And I was wrong, by the way. Um, and I realized I was wrong when I actually said, okay, let's try this coach. And as I said at the beginning, a lot of those things happen not because you plan them, but by coincidence. So somebody that I used to work with 10 years ago, he had become a professional coach, almost like 8 years ago. And I just saw an update on LinkedIn that she changed something. And I was like, oh, I didn't know you were doing that. And then we reconnected and I was like, oh, she might be the right person. I think, by the way, I think that's part of the success is the person. You have to connect with the person and you have to create that trust. So she actually made me realize a little bit some of those saboteurs, as she called. I think there's somebody positive intelligence. I think it's called.
Positive intelligence. Yeah, I use that as well. I know it.
Yeah. So she gave me this tool. I did this test, and it came
Yeah.
very obviously that that's one of my strengths, but at the same time can be a saboteur of always the time needing for this change, right? So I'm always trying to balance a little bit this kind of enjoying the present moment while at the same time ensuring there's going to be enough excitement in the short, medium term.
Love it. Love it, man. So tell me, as a very confident person, you mentioned a little bit self-doubt. Do you doubt yourself now? I mean, or if you doubt yourself, is it the same thing you shared about the fear? You're working like that as an information, or you do something different to overcome it and to continue?
I mean, every day, all of us have decisions to make all the time, right? It can be small things, can be medium things, big things, both in the professional and personal world. So whenever you have a decision, there's doubt, right? And you cannot rationalize everything. You cannot start putting like pros and cons on everything. Should I get apples or oranges today, right? But you are actually making a decision even when you're choosing an apple over an orange. That also happens when a company offers you the possibility to move somewhere else, when you're choosing your partner. So there's many things, and it's normal that you have doubts. Maybe the question is more about how do you deal and manage those doubts, right?
Exactly.
And I guess it's about first there's an initial intuitive thing, right? That probably it's more like, okay, what are you excited about? What does your heart say, as you said at the beginning, right? When you have a decision, I'm not talking apples and oranges here, right? That's something a bit more exciting or a bigger decision. And that is important to know what does your heart say, right? So many times even with my team, it's like, I have this, okay, yeah, but what does your heart say? Because that's often a good reflex. On the other hand, it's also saying, what if you make this decision and you actually it doesn't work out well? So I think I'm thinking, what is the worst case scenario of that decision, it's important. Are you able to cope with the worst case scenario? So imagine that you're offered a position, you have to move the family or yourself, you go, I don't know, to work into Latin America. What is the worst case scenario? That you'll come back and you find a similar work that what you're doing today? Is that a big drama? Probably not. Is the worst case scenario that you might lose all your money and you have to get a big debt? Is this something you can cope with? If not, then careful with that decision, right? But if the worst case scenario is not a big deal, just don't doubt about it. Follow your heart. If the worst case scenario can involve a big risk, then I understand you might want to be a bit more careful. But I do see a lot of people that they doubt, they want to do something, and they don't do it, even if the worst case scenario is not that bad. And I don't understand it. But anyways, that's maybe how I look at it.
I would say one thing, and yeah, definitely, which I totally agree with you with what you just shared. And some people, they're not aware of the worst case scenario. What is the problem is that some people they just feel the doubt and the fear, and they don't do what you do. They don't do the journaling part. They don't do the reflection part. They just feel it and they run away.
Yeah.
And what you just shared, it's gold, because if we do that, to write it down, to really clearly see what is going on, I don't want to, I wouldn't say 100% sure, but very sure that at least 70 to 80% of the things you're doubting, you're going to do them. You're just going to do them because you see clearly that it's not so big the problem, But because the feeling is very strong, like, oh, what am I going to do? And just go away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
or you say, and also some people, of course, I guess Mediterraneans are pretty good at that, always saying the glass half empty, right? Or half full. That they always think, oh, but what if this goes wrong? And then, of course, it's going to go wrong and blah, blah, blah. It's like, first, that is not, maybe, hopefully it's not going to be that. Things are going to go well. And second, even if it goes wrong, what is the worst can happen?
Yes.
Is it something you can accept and cope? And, is that going to put you in such a difficult position? Then, okay, I understand you have doubts. If not, why do you doubt? And I think it's sometimes just they didn't really want it so much, or there's just maybe a bit of the social pressure we're talking about of I shouldn't do that because what other people would think, even if it's something that maybe I would be excited about.
Yeah. So Daniel, thank you for sharing everything which you shared today. It was really beautiful. To listen all of that, and I'm gonna listen it again, guys. At least 2-3 times you need to listen to that to get the information good. So thank you for sharing your wisdom and your time and your energy with us. So just the last thing before we go is, if there is one key, I know that there are many keys, but one key you can come up with right now in this very moment, which you think if people start doing, they can unlock this door towards their dreams. What is that one key for you?
Oops. Okay. Well, for one of the things, I don't know if maybe to one is what we just said, right? When you have something, consider the worst case scenario and something that you can accept, then don't hesitate, just go with that. The other one is, as we said, is find something that excites you at the short and medium term. And be open if in that short, medium term, other things come up. So don't let them go, because a lot of the good things just happen when you were not planning for it. So create yourself opportunities, put yourself in situations that are, serendipity may happen, and then keep open mind and open eyes to find those new things, and not be just have this tunnel vision into something that you were thinking about when actually maybe the price is somewhere else. Especially in the time that we live in, which is so much changing, right? So the society is changing, the planet unfortunately is changing. There's so much things changing that to me, having so much long-term plans doesn't make a lot of sense. So yeah, maybe you can have some values that you don't want to change, but then the way you're gonna meet those values you don't know how it's gonna happen. So just be open for opportunities. Be ready to take them as they come, and when you evaluate them, think about them, but also don't. If it's something that the worst case scenario, as we said, is not a bad result, then just go for them and take them, because you can always come back.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for inviting me. I mean, it's I didn't know exactly what to expect from the discussion. So, and it's definitely a lot of topics that I don't usually get the chance to talk. So I think I learned a lot of this topic, of probably about myself, and also some of the things that you'll be covering in the podcast. So I look forward to also listening to all the other 16 episodes, or 15. This is the 16th,
15
you said?
more, yeah.
So I have 15 to listen. So
yes, thank you, man. Thank you.
Thanks,
and
Daniel.
have a lovely week and great weekend. Bye.
Yeah, stay in touch.